Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming in. We have our last keynote speaker session today, and Jen will do us the honor to introduce Judy. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, good. Still morning, so good morning again, everyone. So I'm glad that you've hung in there with us today. We've had a lot of really interesting presentations, and it's just too bad I wanted to attend all of them at the same time, but it's hard to do all of that at once. But it has been recorded so that you can go back and hear the sessions that you did miss. I'm very excited to have Judith Velasco with us. She's the Executive Director of the Verdugo Workforce Development Board. And Glendale Community College and Verdugo Workforce Development Board are like best friends. We have always worked together. We always partner on things. It's a very excellent relationship that we have. And today, Judith is going to be presenting information about our Verdugo region, which includes Glendale, Burbank, and La Cañada area. And it helps us as we try to make plans for our training and for reaching out to students and people who need to upgrade their skill set for our employers and to work with our employers. So I'm very excited to introduce Judith and for you to see the excellent information that she's going to be sharing with us today.
Thank you, Jan. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. It's an honor to share some information in our region. I have a lot of data to share with you, which hopefully will assist with the work that you do. First and foremost, I want to share that, that no event has changed our economy and lives as much as this pandemic. And I know my role as Executive Director with the Verdugo Workforce Development Board, my role has changed as well. In the work that we do, our goal is to provide meaningful workforce services to people looking for work and to businesses looking to hire and find qualified individuals with specific skill sets. Due to the events that have happened, I've been interacting more closely with our customers, which are both the unemployed job seekers and businesses than I've ever had before. And just to share a little bit about those conversations before I start my presentation, we have so much happening around us that sometimes we just have to take a minute to take it all in, because it is really caused us to change how we live, how we interact with people, and how work has changed. And some of these changes will be permanent, some of these changes will not, but we've been challenged like never before, and that's really driving our resilience and innovation to continue to move forward and provide services needed to the community during this time. So I recently spoke to someone who was applying for unemployment insurance, and this individual has contacted unemployment insurance at least 1,000 times. So you can just imagine the frustration and angst this person is suffering every time they're not able to reach a needed support for them to get their unemployment insurance check. I also recently talked to a small business in the Glendale area. It's a small family restaurant that survives on the daily flow of customers coming in. But of course, with the pandemic, the daily flow is not at the level it used to be. So businesses are looking for alternative ways to deliver services at all times. So it's very important to stay connected to the community we serve, so that way we honor their needs and we're able to move forward with innovation so we can really make a difference. So there is a lot of potential opportunities still remain untapped. And I'm always grateful for our partnership with the Glendale Community College. As Jan mentioned, we are best friends, we are family, we assist each other. Education and workforce go hand in hand. So it's been a natural partnership that is involved of really innovative and wonderful workforce programs that have made a difference. So with that, let me just share with you some vital information happening. And again, this data is a lot. So after the presentation, I'm happy to share with the information in case you're trying to take notes as we go along. This first slide shows you the unemployment rates in the Verdugo region. So as you can see, starting from December 2019, we were experiencing pretty high levels of prosperity. Unemployment rates in the Verdugo region, again, which includes the cities of Glendale, Burbank, and La Ciana, Flint Ridge, were about 3.6% for Glendale, 3.6% in Burbank. Now, if you go to March, you can start seeing the trends of the increase of unemployment rates. By March, you begin to see the beginning of the impact from the stay-at-home order. We saw a significant increase in April, entering the double digits. So again, we have not seen double-digit employment in a long time. I have been participating in different data webinars sponsored by the LADC. They projected actually in May that we would have a 31.7% unemployment rate. Thankfully, this did not happen. We actually peaked in May with rates over 20% in our area. And we've actually have seen steady declines as businesses begin to reopen. The continual gradual reopening of businesses will assist us in counteracting against this increase in unemployment. Specifically with the Verdugo Job Center, we have a program called Rapid Response. So as businesses are laying off in our region, we track those layoffs. Primarily through what's called the WARN notice. So a WARN notice is required for businesses to send to a community where they are going to displace that worker. So in Glendale alone, we have received 75 WARN notices. And I just want to note, this number is a little bit understated because businesses right now during the pandemic, they're not required to submit notices. They're still submitting them, but they're not required to do so. So this number doesn't represent all the businesses that are about to or have laid off individuals. In Burbank, we saw about 71 businesses laying off. The surrounding communities of Eagle Rock, Highland Park, we saw about 26 businesses for a total of 172 businesses. So that translates into affected workers, close to 6,000 affected workers. Again, just in our region and just by the notices we've received. Just to give you a sense, we usually do not even see 75 WARN notices in a single day, in a single fiscal year. So the fact that we've already gotten 75 notices within this pandemic time just shows you the impact it's had to our business. And every one of these individuals that have been laid off, our role is to connect with them, make sure that they know how to file for unemployment insurance, and then connect them to the services that we offer at the Verdugo Job Center. In this slide that you see, this shows you the number of new unemployment insurance claims for our region. So these are people who are just submitting claims. This table shows you that for the first and last week of each month, what is happening before the country was asked to quarantine and after. You see the dramatic climb from one month to the next. Also, you probably see on the slide the peak in unemployment insurance claims was in May. About 25,236 claims were filed. This is around the same time that we saw the pandemic unemployment insurance assistance began. So the also known as PUA, that is the federal unemployment that was the additional federal unemployment claim that started, the additional $600 a week that began the week of May 2nd and actually ended July 31st. As of now, we do not know, or we have no certainty of the new federal unemployment insurance claim. So those claims that you see include employees who are still working, but hours were reduced by 10%. And therefore, not all claimants are completely unemployed or laid off that can apply for unemployment insurance. We also have individuals who qualify for unemployment insurance, but who do not file. So this, again, just shows you the number of filings that occur. We recently started using data from a system called Economic Tracker. This is actually really great data related to COVID-19. It's data that is tracked by the University of Brown University and Harvard University, thanks to the funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So I really urge you to take a look at Economic Tracker. They track what is happening post and pre-pandemic, especially as it relates to small businesses. So what you see here is percent change in small business revenue starting in January 2020 until August. So the total business revenue decreased by about 14.8% in LA County. So this is LA County data as of August 2020 as comparison to January earlier this year. It's important to note that the CARES Act was implemented in March, which is supposed to provide assistance in recovery and the reopening of businesses and also help to increase revenue. However, we still need continued recovery to be at the same levels we were in January. It's important to note that stimulus payments received in April and the pandemic unemployment insurance that I just spoke about, which received in May, also, those two elements also increased consumer spending, which might have contributed to the increased revenue you're seeing in this chart. This is another chart from Economic Tracker, and this is the percent change and number of small businesses open. Again, it's LA County data, and it compares January to about August. So we see here in this chart, the number of small businesses open in LA County decreased by 22.2% in August, if you compare that August number to January 2020. This trend line follows the revenue trend line, which also shows recovery based on CARES Act and benefits in the CARES Act, including the PPP loans, the PUA unemployment insurance payments. Again, gradual reopening in businesses is assisting in the recovery. However, what we're seeing, many businesses remain closed and unfortunately may never reopen. And we see that regularly, that business are slowly starting to furlough and permanently lay off individuals. But due to these spikes, many businesses have closed and then reopened. This trend stops just before July. Part of the work that we do at Verdugo, we really track job postings and where the job postings are. This chart shows you job postings in LA County during just 1 week, June 21st through June 27th. The top job posting, which should be of no surprise, is registered nurses. We see a lot of the job postings is really reflective of essential services that continued during the pandemic. Part of what we do is we have a job posting bulletin that we send to the community on an ongoing basis. So as we get these job postings and listings, it's a resource that we provide so that the community is aware of all the job openings that are coming that we do receive. So registered nurses is number one, And it's a mixture of different ones that you see. We have a mixture of managers, software developers, sales reps, wholesales, and the source of this data is the Centers of Excellence for Labor Market Research. I have about 3 slides on consumer spending. And this is something that we track on an ongoing basis because we really see that employment trends and consumer spending really help us to project where the occupations are growing. This slide here shows the total spending of all consumers decreased by 13.9% as of August in comparison to January 2020. However, the decline in spending occurred in apparel and general merchandising as opposed to groceries, which shows an overall increase. So the peak in grocery spending in March should be of no surprise, may reflect the stocking up that occurred where everybody was, as you probably heard, going into panic and preparing to quarantine themselves for an extended period of time. So while our clothing stores were closing during this time, our grocery stores as well as warehouses such as Costco, Smart & Final saw increases in consumer demand and revenue. This other slide on percent change in consumer spending is focused on healthcare spending compared to restaurants and hotels, which, as you can see, is experiencing a devastating decrease of 37.1%. Healthcare saw its decline at the beginning of the pandemic as many non-essential healthcare services closed. However, as we are starting to see reopenings of dentists, eye doctors, general practitioners, with this, all that has started seeing the increased demand of healthcare services. Telehealth has also assisted in this increase, and that's one of the trends we're following. If telehealth is going to be one of the permanent virtual services that will remain intact. Again, my last slide on consumer spending, I would say the most impacted industry, as shown in this slide, is the transportation decline of 53.5%. And this may continue with recent more notices filed by airlines that are expected to lay off more than 14,000 workers in California alone. So 3 of these airlines operate out of the Hollywood Burbank Airport, which is in our region. Those airlines are United, American, and Alaskan Airlines. We just actually submitted a grant proposal to assist any workers that may be affected in Verdugo from this transportation decline. So again, one of our main goals is, as we see these types of trends, to see how we can seek funding to support the industry and to support that worker who's been displaced, because we do not know how long it will take for this industry to recover and at what pace. Entertainment experienced the greatest decline in spending at 71.5%. While Netflix and other home movie subscriptions did well, overall entertainment declined significantly, from music and concerts to movies and theaters. We're currently working with our labor organizations in the entertainment industry to develop programs that will assist out-of-work entertainment individuals during this time. As you can see, those 2 industries are showing a huge decline. So with that being said, what areas are growing? What are the growth and target sectors we should be looking at? The consumer spending trends, as well as the essential services designations, gives us insight on what these growing trends should be. These are actual target areas that our board has been working on, and it's outlined in our strategic plan. We continue to support occupational training in these areas and work with our partners, such as Glendale Community College, to make sure we develop curriculum and certification trainings in these areas. These areas continue to be retail. And again, we have to look at online retail as opposed to in-person retail, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, life science and biotechnology, information communications, digital media, and professional and business services. I have the next few slides provide an outlook for occupations in the target sectors that I just mentioned. We do offer training in most of these occupations, and we expect to experience growth as we continue to push forward for increased manufacturing in the United States. These projections are based on data from the Employment Development Department, which is a key partner for our labor market information. And this is actually the Employment Development Department's 10-year outlook. We've asked our partner, EDD, to provide us with these projections on an ongoing basis. So we're happy to share with you these projections as you move forth and develop curriculum for individuals looking to access these skill sets. I have 3 slides on them. I'm not going over each one, but the first one up there is machinist. And this one has still a projected number of jobs around 10,920. Medium salary is $19.82. Medium annual earnings is $41,000 with minimum education is high school. So I'm happy to share with you that before the pandemic, Glendale Community College and the Verdugo board, as well as the Department of Rehabilitation and other essential partners, developed a machinist program for people with disabilities that has been highly regarded and respected and sought after. And so as I see these projections, I want to tell Jan we were right on target as to what areas we were focusing on. So now as we see these occupations listed, we have to really think about how can we now offer these services virtually? How can we now make sure that the occupations as we see are growing are accessible to the community that we serve? And that's one thing I want to mention is that another focus area of ours has been access to service, access to education, access to these resources for populations that have a lot of barriers, populations that may not be connected to the computer, that may need help navigating hotspots, that may not have the ability to learn on a virtual platform. There are some challenges we have to assist the community with in order for them to be connected to these high growth projected employment opportunities. Here are 3 other ones: medical records and health information tech, medical assistant, computer user support specialist, computer network specialist, booking, accounting, audit clerks, media communication equipment worker. These all continue to be high growth projected occupations in the next 10 years. Art, design, media occupations, biological technician, chemical technician. So I'm happy to say that the board will continue to partner with the college to ensure that we have these programs in place for our community and to make sure we're able to get them access to these skills they need to be in these occupations that are projected for growth. So again, as I mentioned, our board connects individuals to different employment services. Because of what is happening in our environment, we are on an ongoing basis applying for grant programs to assist the community. We have emergency grants. So specifically for the underserved populations in what we call supportive services, people with disabilities, English language learners, homeless, and there's so much populations that we serve. We provide assistance with career services, paid work experience, apprenticeships, career training. We have employment recovery grants. And again, all of our services are at no cost to the public. It just requires a phone call to see if you're eligible for them. These are some of the grant requirements that come along with our newly funded program. So anybody who's been impacted by COVID-19, so if you were laid off or furloughed due to COVID-19, had reduced work hours, you were subject to a quarantine due to the stay-at-home order, you're a caregiver for someone who's subject to quarantine, you need to care for children because of school closure or closure of childcare, you're required to telework. If any of these apply, and again, this is not an exhaustive list, you may be eligible to receive services under the Verdugo Job Center's COVID-19 program. So I wanted just to put our phone number here for any student or even anybody, it doesn't have to be a student, who wants to access our service. It's 818-937-8000. All of our services are now on a virtual platform. We are trying to be sensitive to all needs to see if people even don't have access to computer, how we can still provide them with services. So if you know of anybody impacted by COVID-19 and can benefit from our COVID-19 grants, please refer them to us. That's why we're here for. So in conclusion, I just want to reiterate how valuable partnerships are. Our partnership with Glendale Community College is so critical at this point, especially because equity begins with education. And we see that time and time again. Technical skills are needed for jobs at this moment. Those jobs that you saw under the occupational employment projections, for the most part, those are technical jobs that require technical skills. So those are still needed. Really, jobs lead to economic vitality. As businesses start reopening up, they need a good workforce pool. And that's where we come in to provide them with the skilled workforce to meet their business openings. We have to continue to work together to meet the needs of all the underserved populations. One of the things I always boast about is our partnership with the college, our partnership with other organizations, because it really takes all these organizations coming together to provide that service to that individual. And it's never been as critical as it is now. And again, in conclusion, I hope you take to heart, it is what is happening right now. We've never seen it before, but there is hope, and we're rising strong together, and we will continue to rise strong as we think of that individual that I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, who's called 1,000, 2,000 times, that family business that is struggling. Those are just a couple of examples. There are hundreds and hundreds of people there who need us, and that's what we're here to do, serve together. So thank you for having me, and I appreciate your time.
That was great, Judy. Thank you so much. I think now we're going back to Maricela, who will guide us.
All right. Thank you so much for all the presenters and the ones that participate. Again, just if you have any questions right now for Judy, feel free. If not, I guess we conclude the session, and we will definitely forward your participation for your flex credit to our coworkers. All right. Thank you.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Thank you for having me.
Judith, that was excellent. I loved it, because what I really appreciated too is the partnership, how important and critical that is. And also I appreciated that there is hope rising strong together. And,
Yes.
really trying to look at the optimistic side, because we have to lean in a direction that we're moving forward in some positive way for everybody. Thank you.
Well, we can't do this alone. We really can't. And so when folks call us, we're constantly referring them to the college, to other resources. It's just, we put on so many hats. I'm sure the college has. I forgot to mention, the college is distributing meals. There's certain things that we're doing that we probably haven't done before. So, and it's just because the community we serve needs these things. So we are slowly trying to pivot to what the needs are and get those partnerships in place. But it's a challenge. Now we're trying to see what we can do to help the people impacted by the fires.
Oh, so true. My goodness.
Yeah.
One thing after another.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you for your partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. I can put my email, or you can share. I know the conference organizers will share the PowerPoint and the presentation and everything, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Well, this was a great idea. So I know it took a lot of work to put this together. So kudos to the team for putting this together. It's very well organized.
Thank you.
Yes, the
Go
council
team.
did a fabulous job. Yay, team, you did a great job. You counted it.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy. Be
Bye,
safe.
everybody. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Thank you.